What is the situation, complication, solution framework, and how do you apply it in consulting? Hi everyone, my name is Johannes. I'm a strategy consultant, and on this channel I share my thoughts, learnings and experiences about consulting, business and mindset. If you're new to this channel, then please make sure to subscribe to it and also leave a thumb up. This would really help the channel to grow and really support what we are doing here. And today we talk about an important framework that consultants typically use. It's the situation, complication, solution framework. And I want to talk about three things basically. I want to first talk about what it is. So I explain what the framework actually is. I will explain how it works. And I will give you a practical application, so how we use it in consulting and in consulting slide decks. So let's start with question number one. What is the situation, complication, solution framework? So it's basically a framework that consultants use very often in order to start a presentation. So this framework really helps to put your presentation into a context, to put your concept into a context, and to really explain the why. So why is it important that you talk about this topic, and why is it important that you as a consultancy are hired to solve the problem? So this is what it basically is. So how does it work? Basically, there are three steps. So first you talk about the situation. So this means that you explain in what kind of context the company is at the moment. Then second comes the complication, and here you typically have an additional layer of complexity. So something maybe that happened within the industry, an event that happened within the company that makes the situation even more complicated. And then third, you come with a solution, and this means that you propose your solution as a consultant, what you can do about that to resolve the problem. So for example, how it could look like is that you start with a situation. So this could be that the company, the client you're working for, experienced decreasing revenues, maybe even decreasing profitability over the past 5 years. So this would be the kind of situation. But then there comes the complication, so additional level of complexity that makes the topic even more urgent. And this would be, for example, that we had COVID-19. So this means we had a big dip in the revenues that we saw. We also have inflation. So this means that prices are higher. We have the conflicts in the Ukraine. So maybe we have issues with the supply chain. We have new competitors entering the market, etc., etc. Okay, so this could be the complication, an additional layer of complexity that really makes the situation very, very urgent. And then comes your solution. Maybe you propose a transformation program that consists of topics like cost cutting, maybe portfolio restructuring, maybe investment in new business models, maybe a market consolidation. This highly depends on what you want to propose, but this is how it would work. Okay, so you first talk about the situation, so decreasing profitability and revenue decrease. Then you have the complication, something that makes it even more urgent, like an external factor like COVID, inflation or so on. And then you come with your solution and the concept that you want to propose as a consultancy. And this is how it typically works. But let's talk about how this would look like in a practical consulting presentation. So there are several ways of doing that. Okay, so one way is to put everything on one slide. So then you would have basically like 3 columns where you first in bullet points lay out the situation, then the complication, and then the solution. What I typically like to do is that I put the situation and the complication in one slide, and then the solution in another slide. So typically this would look like the following. So the first slide would be a kind of illustration that summarizes the current situation. So if we talk about a client that has a decreasing profitability or revenue, then maybe I would show a chart with the decreasing results over the time, and maybe around that some external factors that make the situation even more complicated. Okay, so this would be the kind of setting where I would describe maybe the situation and the complication. And then on the next slide, I would come with the solution, and this would be like the framework that you lay out for the rest of the presentation. Okay, so as we said, maybe a framework of your transformation project that highlights the different aspects of your transformation proposal. So this is something that you can do, and there I typically like to show a framework, for example. And then after that, typically in a presentation, this is where you apply the very classical top-down communication. So this means that the solution is the key message, and then in the next chapters you break each aspect down and really try to talk about the arguments that are part of your concept and part of your solution. Okay, so this is how it typically would look like. And of course you would have the same framework in the executive summary. So if you have one in the slide deck, this would be typically the first bullet points that you would have in your consulting presentation. So that's it for the situation, complication and solution framework. Of course, I'm interested if you have ever used it already. If you have other tips that you want to give to the community, then please write it down in the comments. If this brought value, then I would be very pleased if you subscribe to this channel and like this video. This would really help the channel to grow. And with that being said, I wish you a very successful day. Hope to talk to you soon. Goodbye, Johannes.